Hello, welcome to the Carousel of Conversations. You're in for a real treat. Join us as we take a spin through the past, present, and future of all things Disney. Here, where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow just a podcast away. Let the podcast begin.
Are you just gonna carry it around the parks with you and just sniff it? Is that your plan?
No, I'm gonna get a plastic. I'm gonna get a plastic bottle.
Nobody saw the
I'm gonna get
candle.
a plastic bottle and just scoop the air up while I'm riding. So for the listeners, for context, I was smelling my Pandora candle that has the smell of Avatar: Flight of Passage, the best smelling thing on the planet. I was smelling it, and this kind of goes along with the episode. I'll just announce it now. I'm going for an extra day before the rest of my family goes to Disney. So, we fly down that Friday. We were going to go to Disney Springs that Saturday while the rest of my family and family is coming in. But I was able to get a park ticket. It wasn't expensive. It was $30 or something.
That's not bad
And
at all.
I'm going to go for an extra day. I'm going to go to Animal Kingdom, then I'm going to go to Epcot and meet the family at Epcot. And
that's me and RJ and Bella.
Yeah, and we were talking, I was smelling that candle. I'm I'm just going to get a plastic bottle and just fill the air, screw it on tight.
Oh, it's so funny. We're recording this episode early. By the time this episode comes out, our vacation will be over.
I'll be broke.
For real.
All the merchandise will be
We'll
bought.
be sad. We have so much energy and we're so excited right now because we leave this Saturday for
the podcast
Disney.
after this is going to be so mundane
Yeah,
and
I know. Unless I can convince RJ to go to Disney again.
I would like to go to Disney again.
Well, I'm sure we can. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Carousel of Conversations. We are very excited to go to Disney. And so this episode is going to kind of be along the lines of what we planned for. But it is going to air after we are back. But that's just because we can't record an episode by the time we get back for the Monday that it comes out. And so we decided to record one more episode just to prepare for everything for while we're gone. So yeah, we wanted to make sure we didn't leave you guys without an episode. And if you are watching on YouTube, can you do me a favor and at the end of this, just give us your best tips and tricks and comments? Because we realize that our views go up the more that people comment and talk about things on there.
Yep.
And you
And
want
so
to
even
help
if it's
us
just
out and trips, don't you?
Yeah. So even if it's just a random comment, what is
Yeah.
it all the subscribers say? Click that bell and like this
No, I got a
video,
better one.
comment below.
What's the coolest bird you've seen recently?
Oh, I
Comment
hate
the
birds.
coolest bird you've seen. I know Justin hates them, but I want to know, what's the coolest bird you guys have seen recently?
That has
was it when
nothing
you were
to do
driving?
with the episode.
No, it has nothing to do. But if you're driving, you saw a cool bird, and you're like, that was a cool bird. Just to name the
I don't
instance
know.
that you saw it
That's not the kind of things I'm noticing when I'm driving around.
in. We have obviously different priorities when we drive, Justin.
Although I feel like most people watch YouTube on their computers more than on their phone. At least I do, or on their TV more than their phone. Do you watch it more
I'm
on
a
your
phone.
TV?
I'm a phone.
Really?
I carry it around the house,
Computer.
especially when I'm eating or cooking food. I'll
Yeah.
have it propped up, and I'll just be cooking and stuff.
I watch it
That's
on my
what I like.
computer more than anything, but then also on my TV. So it's just kind of funny.
Well, I'm using YouTube mostly for my classroom, so I guess computer.
I guess Jocelyn's doing her nails during this
I just had to
episode.
finish one little top layer really quickly,
Oh, I can
and I
smell
figured
it.
I figured it could dry while we're talking. I was trying to be discreet. Thanks, RJ.
It wasn't discreet. We saw this big thing come across the screen.
Oh my goodness! I just realized I'm the only one not wearing a
look,
Disney
they're
shirt.
Disney nails. They're Disney nails.
Ooh, look at you!
I need to stick to my day job. I'm not good at this at
My
all.
mother would very much appreciate if you could do a quick salon job and come over here. and
Oh,
do her nails for her.
she thinks they look great, and I'm concerned because they don't look that great.
I don't know. It's like your fingernails. Who's looking at those half the time? I
Yeah,
don't even I see my
yeah.
fingernails once a month, maybe.
But I'm gonna be
Right.
taking pictures holding cups. You know,
Oh yeah.
want the nail
What
to
do they
look
call
nice.
those on Instagram? Do you
Yeah.
think they have a special name?
Cup selfies.
We should come up with a name. We should do
Okay.
hashtag cup selfie while we're around the park. We'll make
Oh
it
my
something
gosh.
big.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
I can't think
funny.
of anything. But today's episode, we're going to talk
Oh, yeah, we're doing
about
a
how
podcast.
you would pack for a solo trip, how you would pack, or like how you would prepare for a solo trip and how you would do it as a couple or how you would do it with kids. So we're going to talk about 3 different topics along those lines of like how you would plan and pack and do all the things as a couple, as a trip with kids, or as just a solo trip by yourself. And since Noah found out he's going to be doing a whole day all by himself at the
I
parks
know.
because he's
Until
going
the
a day
very
early.
last bit. Until the
Yeah.
very last bit.
So yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome. He's going to pretty much have a whole day to do whatever he wants in the parks. And
I'm
so
just gonna ride
we
Flight of
thought this would
Passage
be
10 times. That's just it.
I guess, RJ, you will officially be the only one of the 3 of us who hasn't done a solo trip to the parks then.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And we were talking about that, Jessalyn and I. I honestly don't think I would enjoy a solo trip. Like,
Mm,
there are
I
benefits
would.
and downsides, but I think I enjoy going with Jessalyn and Bella more
I
than
don't
I
think Justin
enjoy
feels the
doing it
same
by
way.
myself.
No, I do really enjoy Disney with Bella a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Wow.
She's so much fun.
And
I said
RJ.
Jessalyn and Bella. Wow.
My favorite people to do Disney with is the Smiths.
I thought so, yeah. I thought so.
Wow.
Excuse me.
But okay,
You have to
so
open up
first
these
let's
cough
jump into
drops.
the first topic, and that's going to be packing tips. How would you pack differently for a solo trip versus a couple trip versus a trip with family? And I think we need to go in backwards order. So Jessalyn, how would you pack for a trip with kids as opposed to a solo trip? And we'll
Well,
work
one of
down.
the things that we have really loved to do since we've taken Bella with us on these trips is drive. And we are driving from North Carolina, so it's about an 8 to 9 hour drive that we're dealing with. And it's really not that terrible considering all the amount of things that you need to bring with you for a kid, and also preparing for what you could be bringing back. And I laugh at that because we do tend to overpack a little bit for our kid, but at the same time we're bringing a haul for the Smith family, and we'll probably be
Exactly.
bringing a haul back.
Because we
I mean, I
fly
literally-
down, and you know,
yeah.
my suitcase, it can't be that heavy, and I buy more than 50 pounds of merchandise every time we go. So like,
Right now, my kitchen table is half of it is going to be for our snacks, and the other half's going to be for the Smith snacks. So, anyways, we love to pack. We love to drive because of everything that we do pack, and just naturally, you're going to know your kid. You're going to know if they're accident prone or if they're not. We've been fortunate to where Bella is not necessarily that way. So, really thinking like 2 outfits a day, I don't really have to necessarily think along those lines. But it does affect how soon I start packing. So a week ago, and so at that point, 2 weeks before our trip, I'm already laying out outfits for Bella. I'm thinking through what is she going to need that day? What kind of shoes is she going to need that day? Along with what I'm doing for us. And then you have to think too, she needs a stroller. So that's going to take up a lot of space. She needs things in the car to keep her entertained on the drive. So tablet, coloring books, activity books. She has we have our fan and a magic band, but so does Bella. So she has a fan and she has a magic band. So it's almost like you're packing for 2 people. Plus, we bring, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later. We bring her own snacks into the park. So we have to think through, okay, I got to bring things for her. Some strategy things that we like to think about is we do bring extra socks in the parks and extra, underwear, things like that kids might need.
Or
but
me,
we
you know.
also, we also pack Ziploc bags. That helps us because sometimes at Pecos Bill, she might get a kid's meal, but she doesn't eat all of it in that moment. So we take those or little cuties, we put them in a Ziploc bag in our backpack because she's going to want them again.
yeah.
And there really is a strategy to it. You don't want to be over the top because you don't want to be weighed down in the park, but you have to know what is best for your kid. So packing with kids, it's going to take a lot more time and a lot of thinking process. And if you're able to drive, I feel like that is the most beneficial thing. So you're not stressed out about, I have to meet within a certain limit of pounds in the suitcase or whatever. You have a little bit more flexibility there.
I think for a couple, it's pretty much a whole lot different because you don't have to worry about the kids. So oftentimes when Jesselyn and I used to go, we used to just pack a suitcase, one suitcase for the both of us. And oftentimes instead of driving, because we didn't have to bring a stroller, we didn't have to bring the snacks and the waters, we would often fly because number one, it's cheaper when you don't have to pay for that third ticket. And number two, it's easier for us to just fly than try and take a kid through the airport. It's just more challenging when you
Yeah.
take a kid through the airport. And so for us as a couple, we would get our biggest suitcase, we would pack it up, we would leave room for souvenirs and different things like that. But we would just pack one suitcase for the two of us. Now it's like I have my own suitcase and Jesselyn and Bella have their suitcase. And so like, but as a couple, when we used to take those couple trips, it used to just be one suitcase, maybe one duffel bag for toiletries and other things and shoes. And then we'd just run and go. And there really wasn't a lot to the packing aspect of just me and her going as a couple, as opposed to the drastic difference that it has been adding in a kid.
Well, and one thing too, that it would just depend on your needs. The Smith Helms family, which is Noah's family, their needs are going to vary greatly in the area I'm getting ready to bring up. But Bella has very sensitive lungs. So we are on a nebulizer for her. We in the wintertime, so this trip is going to be winter time that we're getting ready to go on. I know I'm going to have to do breathing treatments with her every day. So
Yeah.
on top of packing a suitcase for me and her and a suitcase for RJ and toiletry bags, and like I'm also, even though we're taking school off and I'm pursuing a graduate program on the side, I'm bringing a backpack full of schoolwork to do on the way, like all those things. I'm also packing a duffel bag that has nebulizer and medicine, albuterol in it, and all those things. So
I recognize all those words.
yeah, I know that your family can relate to that. And not all families have to think about that, but I think I guess my point is, if you can drive when you have kids, you need to drive.
Do it. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Noah, what are you packing like just planning for yourself without worrying about any kids or any spouses or anything like that? What does your packing look like as just yourself?
I'll give you two versions, okay? Since I have you guys, I'm not going to be worrying so much about leaving space in my suitcase or in my backpack, because I'll just ship it home with y'all, and then I'll find y'all later, and you can give it to me. But no, this time I like to pack for the general weather as well, so I have to pack like double
Yeah.
clothes instead of just one pair, and I feel like it's a little easier because you don't have to worry also about a kid, Yeah. You have to do the double packing for the kid, but also when you're going by yourself, you have to be a lot more responsible, I guess, for your
Mhm.
own stuff, especially since I'm like, 19. Normally my mom used to like pack everything for me. Now I have to do it all by myself. Like even Advil, I bring Advil in the park whenever I go by myself, like whenever we went with the teens and stuff.
Mhm.
I would bring Advil because I wouldn't have my mom next to me with Advil already. So if someone has a headache, who's going to remedy that,
Well,
I
okay,
get
kind
that.
of along on the same lines, Noah. What are you thinking for your one day that you're going to be in the park? You'll eventually meet up with us, and I know we're
Mhm.
like your aunt and uncle, and we'll take care of you if you need us to. But there's going to be that time where you are going to be by yourself. So what are you thinking? Okay, I got to make sure I have this with me.
Just like my wallet, magic band,
And probably
phone.
like, yeah, your cell phone charger too.
Yeah, battery. It's basically just the normal things you'd bring into a park if you had a kid, just less of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really what it boils
Your
down to.
backpack will look a lot thinner than my backpack will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one, which is hotel choices, where to stay. Now, okay, I think all of us have these bougie hotel expectations.
I was
We
about to
have
say,
bougie
I
ideas.
don't
Look,
think all of us do, RJ.
Look, no. I'm going to be honest. We're looking at another trip in June. I know, shocking. But in that
I'll
trip
come.
in June, there was a difference of like $400 to stay at a hotel, like a value resort or a moderate resort. And I think both Jesselyn and I are like, we can't do value resorts anymore. Like we just can't.
Exactly.
And
see,
so
you're seeing
like
my side of the story.
Well,
Our
let me say, not with a kid. And I know
Not
I
with the
can
That's
get,
kid.
true.
I'll get into
Yeah.
that later, but if it was just you and I, maybe.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about Noah. So I wanted to preface that because when I asked Noah this question, his answer may be a little bit different than what a typical answer would be. But what would you stay at when you would stay at a resort just by yourself?
So normally a solo person would just get the cheapest room they could find because they're just worrying about a bed for themselves. They'll deal with anything, you know? But for me, we stay at the French Quarter and the Polynesian, so I'm a little spoiled, okay? But I also have to say, I deal with different issues than normal people do. My celiac makes eating out really difficult.
Yeah.
So I want to position my resort stay to somewhere I enjoy the food especially at.
Yeah.
Because most places, they can do the normal, like the chicken tenders and cheeseburgers at the resort, which is still more than 90% of places in the normal world. Disney World
Right.
is 2,000 times better for gluten-free people. But I would rather spend the $400 extra to be able to enjoy beignets or enjoy this or enjoy that I don't normally get to experience because of my issues, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, I
my
think that's
solo
a great
trip
point.
is a little different than other people. Like I would even spend that for the Polynesian because they can make me coconut meatballs. Like,
But
those
you're
are
not
so
looking
good.
for, like, one time we stayed at Art of Animation as a family, and the reason we wanted to stay there was because they had the Lion King stuff, the
Mhm.
Little Mermaid stuff,
Yeah,
the Finding
I'm not worried
Nemo,
about
like
that.
the theming of it all. When
Mhm.
you're taking a solo trip, you don't care about any of that
No.
stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of like, the hotel choices are a little different. You care about the food that's there.
The
You care about
the premiumness.
yeah, like
The way people look
the
at me when
way
I
it
enter a
feels when you
Polynesian
walk
bus
into a
instead of a
hotel.
Art of Animation bus.
So there's a difference in that. And then when you're
Yes.
thinking as a couple or with kids, Justin, why don't you talk about the with kids, how you plan
Yeah.
out a hotel?
So, I want to be careful, and I think we're all trying to be careful with this. Most people are going to do value resorts, and that's okay.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we did 2 value resorts this summer. It was our first time doing a value resort, and we, stepping back, said, you know what? It was just a night. It was just a bed because we spend most of our time in the parks. But there were a couple of things that made it a little uncomfortable for us. Bella is still in a jogger stroller, so though I laugh because she just turned 6 years old, and I'm gonna make her ride in a stroller because I just, we're gonna enjoy this trip. We're not gonna complain, okay? And so,
Then put me in the stroller, man.
our jogger stroller has like 3 actual tire wheels on it that has to have air. It's big, it's bulky.
Yeah.
So getting into with all the luggage that we're bringing, 2 suitcases, toiletry bags, a medicine bag, backpacks, all the things, plus your stroller, those value resorts get really cramped.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
now, Bella's not picking up on this. Bella loves the theming, and every person has their own resort, right? Like we stayed at little Ariel's room at Art of Animation, and she got that room ready for us or whatever. And on this trip, we're staying at Coronado Springs, which is decorated as the 3 Caballeros. And so Donald Duck's room is what she calls that one. So she's not thinking along those lines, but RJ and I felt very uncomfortable with the size.
Yeah.
We felt
Yeah, Art
like
of
we
Animation's
were
small.
like crawling over each other. We just did not feel comfortable. It was very tight, even getting ready in the morning. And so room size matters when you have kids, and we have 1
Yeah.
kid. So you want to talk about, and like my brothers, they have 3 to 4 kids, and I don't know how they would do it in a value resort unless they got a family size room. So size matters. However, those value resorts that have the family size rooms, they're going to be really nice ulterior options that I think I would, if my family was big enough for that, it's just the 3 of us. It's just going to be the 3 of us. So like, we don't need that family resort room until maybe, we all go when Bella gets married one day and has her own kids, that would be a different conversation.
Well,
The
and I
second
can
thing, oh, go ahead.
Oh, Well, I was
Well,
gonna
I was
say
going to talk about the transportation next.
Well, we're not there. We have a whole topic
okay.
on transportation.
gotcha.
Yeah. So the other thing that I was going to talk about is one time as a couple, we did go with your parents and we split the hotel cost,
Yeah.
and did like a beach club, and we split the cost ourselves. I think it was beach club and then
Boardwalk and Riverside.
Boardwalk. I'm sorry, Boardwalk and
Yep.
Riverside.
Yeah.
And so we split the cost. But there's certain things that we've realized, even with some moderate resorts, that we don't like certain moderate resorts. So, for example, like when we went to French Quarter, both Jesselyn and I adore French Quarter, but they don't have an elevator in all of their buildings. And so we had to carry the stroller up to the second flight of stairs, which it's a big, bulky stroller.
Mhm.
You're having to take it down, break it all down, take all your stuff out, carry it up to the room. That's just really inconvenient for us. So we don't prefer to stay at the French Quarter because of those reasons. But when it comes to like just us going ourselves, we've stayed at everywhere from a deluxe resort by ourselves as a couple, to staying at a moderate to, I would even consider a value, because the room size doesn't matter as much when you don't have a stroller and you don't have all the snacks and the things that comes with kids, like the sound machine that you have to make sure you have a plug for. Those plugs start to get more and more narrow the more stuff that you have. And like you said, with the bringing in a whole family, you're going to want those family suites. But as a couple, we just need like really a bed. Honestly, this is going to sound so bad. This is going to sound really, really bad. Jesselyn and I, like on those types of trips, will even love the two queens and just having our own
sleeping
bed.
in the same bed.
Like, on those trips, when we get to the back to the room, we're like, if it's just us two as a couple, she'll take one queen, I'll take the other queen. We don't disturb each other as
we've
we
done
sleep.
that before.
And
Bella had the little pull-out bed.
yeah,
We all had our own
yeah.
bed on that
I
trip.
love
it
the
was
full bed.
beautiful.
I was
Yeah,
kicked off of it because they said I was too heavy.
But I want to I want to go back to I spent a lot of time on the value resorts, but I want to say the moderate resorts are that sweet spot for our family,
Yeah.
because like the beds, we get 2 beds and a pull out, which is perfect for us because like they're queen size. We're used to a king size bed, they're queen size beds or full, whatever. I don't even know. But even when my mom went with us in September, we stayed at Riverside. It was a moderate resort. I still feel like I had more room in the Riverside moderate room with 3 adults and 1 kid versus a value with 2 adults and 1 kid.
Yeah, I feel like just the shelving space, the things for you take for granted, like the double sink in the bathroom, makes a huge difference. So instead, when you're staying at a value, you might get a double sink, but most of the time you're going to get a single sink. So getting ready in the morning takes longer, different things like that. Even as a couple, it's nice to have that double sink as opposed to a single sink. So I think I prefer to stay at a moderate or a deluxe, of course, if I can afford it. But it used to be a lot cheaper to be able to get a deluxe than it used to be to get than it is now. So it's just gotten more and more expensive. All right, let's talk park activities and ride strategy. Okay, as a solo trip, what are you doing, Noah, that's going to be different than if you were going with the whole group of us like you are going with? Like you're taking a whole day in the parks. You get to prioritize whatever you want to. What does that look like for you?
I get to be so selfish. I can get Sachuli Canteen 3 times a day.
You don't have to wait on anybody. Yeah.
No, I don't have to wait on it. I can choose when I want to go to the bathroom and not when it's most convenient for everyone else. I don't have to like say, "Oh, I have to stay off this one because I have to stay with the kid." No. I can do whatever I want. It's my park. I'm the king of the world, you know?
Yeah.
And even then, like, I can enjoy Animal Kingdom because I don't have people telling me that it's a half-day park when I can spend the entire day.
I can go see the animals. You and just be like, it's a half-day park.
Here's what I put in the show notes that's really nice. You get single rider lines for some of those rides. So you get to ride the rides over and over again a lot faster, and ride them back to back. You can ride the things that you want to without having to ride the things that you don't. So like you don't have to skip over a ride that you know everybody else hates because even though you enjoy it. And then like you can you're going to have so much more time in the parks because when you go and eat, you don't have to wait on 3 people's meals. You just wait on one. But we'll talk about eating more later.
I
But
love
like
eating.
your ride strategy is going to look so much different. And it's even the same with a couple. So like when Jocelyn and I used to go together, we could do Tron without having to worry about it, or Rock and Roller Coaster. Now, we're fortunate in that Bella is not really scared of any of the rides, so we can pretty much ride whatever we want to with her, except for the rides where she doesn't meet their height requirements. So for those rides, we're looking at like Tron and Tron and Rock and Roller Coaster. I think they're the only 2 that she still can't ride.
Those are the only 2 she can't
She
ride.
can't
she
ride Rock
might-
and Roller Coaster?
She might be able to ride them on this trip. Maybe meet the height requirements.
No,
Just
Mom,
insane.
I get nervous. I
She's
get
nervous.
nodding no. She's nodding no very
But
violently.
anyway, so as a couple, we used to not care. But then as a couple now, like we used to ride, Space Mountain 5 times if we wanted to without even thinking about it. But as a couple, we could do that without any hesitation. What I also really like about the couple, as opposed to the odd number that we have in our family, is that Jesslyn and I always knew who we were sitting next to.
RJ really does have like phobia of ride partners. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah, I
does
don't like
not
ride
like
partners,
riding
but-
by
No.
himself.
What can I
Yeah,
say?
so that's the downside to being a single rider
Mhm.
is like you're gonna get sat next to some random
Now,
person.
sometimes it is fun because one time I did a single rider for Everest, and I was riding with her, and she's like, "Is this one scary?" I said, "It's all right, it's pretty good. It's not scary." And she goes, "My friends, they kept on telling me it goes backwards. It cannot go backwards. It's a roller coaster. It goes one way." I said, "Yeah, no, they're tricking you. They're pranking you." And then we get to the top of the mountain. She goes, "Wait a second!" And then we went backwards. It was very funny.
But that's the downside to a solo trip. Like with Jesslyn and I just going, like we knew who we were sitting next to on every ride. And then with the odd number that we have as a family, we don't always get that opportunity unless we're
Mhm.
going with another group of people. So Jesslyn, why don't you talk about what it looks like with kids with riding rides?
Well, every kid's going to be different. We are very fortunate, as RJ said, we have a ride junkie with us who will ride every single ride with her hands way up in the air, not with no fear. Not every kid is like that though. And in fact, I dare say the majority of kids are probably not like that.
Right.
Because I remember thinking before our first trip of taking Bella, like just being prepared mentally that we're not going to be able to ride everything
Mhm.
that we normally do. But we've been very fortunate with that. One thing you have to think about with your kids is, as you're planning your trip, there are height requirements. There are some rides that kids are just not tall enough to ride. And so, depending on the size of your family, I know one thing that my brother Jared does is he and his family, they split. His oldest daughter, he and her will love to ride rides. And so they go ride all the big rides, whereas his wife and his middle child, Harper, they like rides, but they're not there just for the rides. And so they'll go do the more low-key things. So figuring out a strategy that's best for your family, if you need a split for a little bit or whatever, but, think, okay, what rides are we going to go, do I need to mentally prepare for that? We're going to be able to ride this or we're not going to be able to ride this. What can my kid handle? Do they get scared really easily? Do they love a thrill? And what to avoid with that. Another thing that I did you just see that, RJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we need to talk about that. Okay.
What happened?
RJ and
Maybe
I
in
just
just
now.
a minute.
Okay, maybe at the end of podcast we'll talk about it. Okay.
I'm scared. I
Anyways,
didn't
another
notice.
thing that you're not going to probably do. And I say this, and I follow a bunch of Disney influencers who do the thing I'm getting ready to say they probably won't do. But I know for RJ and I, when we were going as a couple, we weren't meeting characters. We weren't
Yeah.
opposed to meeting characters, but that just wasn't our thing. We were there for the food and for the
Yeah.
rides.
Yeah.
Bella, she has a list of characters that she wants to meet, and we have already met them, and we will probably meet them again. Even though we try to meet characters we haven't met before, she is there because for her, this is all very real. But that adds to our magic, so we love seeing those moments with her and the characters. And so that's why it's good for us when we have a kid that we are planning 2 days per park. That way we're splitting it evenly between rides and meeting characters and still trying to get in as much as we can. And also working in breaks. Like, okay, we just hit some rides really hard. We waited a long time for this character. Let's go sit down and watch the Hall of Presidents for a little bit. Or let's go do the laugh floor. Or, so like pacing yourself throughout the day with kids.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say too is as a couple, we would skip a lot of those rides as well. So we would skip the riding of what do you call it, like a Dumbo, or we would skip, and I think you would probably do that as a solo trip. You're not going to go ride the little carousel as a solo trip.
Knows? Who knows what I'll do?
You're going to skip a lot of those rides and shows.
No, I'm also debating the fact maybe I should do the 4-park challenge where I go to each one of the 4 parks and ride a ride in each park.
Yes.
And then I'll do the last one with you guys. It would end it at Epcot.
Yes.
Yeah. So like with as a couple, we were not considering riding the teacups, or we weren't considering riding, some of those Dumbo or Aladdin's flying carpets or something like that, or the carousel at Fantasyland. We would skip a lot of those. Like we wouldn't have any remorse about it, as opposed to some of the other stuff. We had a listener just comment.
Okay, so today we're recording this episode on a Monday, MLK Day, before our episode comes out. So you're going to hear this episode like 2 weeks after we record this episode.
Yeah.
So our episode today released about our Owala bottle. Remember about how RJ thinks it's a ripoff? So one of our listeners, who's actually our pastor, was like saying that his daughter agrees with me, it's the coolest thing, but he sides with RJ that it's a ripoff. So we were laughing about that
because we talked about it on the episode that released today.
I forgot what released today. This is so weird.
We are so on top of our game. It's so weird.
It's daytime. Look at my window. Like,
okay, let's talk food strategy and snack strategy.
Let's just go ahead and say that my food motto doesn't change regardless if I'm by myself, with RJ, or with family.
Okay, so we need to talk about if you were going as a solo trip versus if you were going as a couple, or if you were going with kids. Are you going to do more? Okay, and consider this too. A bigger family than just our 3 that we have to go with. So if you're going to like a Be Our Guest where there's 5 or 6 of you in the family, that's going to be, you're not going to go to a Be Our Guest, or you're going to save for a year to go to a Be Our Guest. Like the outlook of that is going to be very, very different than if you were just to go by yourself. But then if you were to go by yourself, would you go to a signature dining restaurant?
Victoria Alberts is calling the name.
Would you go to a more expensive one just because you can and it's not as expensive as going with a family?
I could go to the Beacon Barrel.
Would you skip out on it so you can get more rides in? So let's talk about food and snack strategy and how you would approach this from each of your perspectives. We'll start with Noah. And what would you do as a single going for a day? Would you do all the signature dining because you can ride so many rides, or would you skip it?
I think it would have to be, I've already been to Be Our Guest. I've already been to a lot of the high class, restaurants now. They're not very high class. They're just more expensive than the other. Yeah, they're more expensive than the other dining. And we've done them years ago. So they were cheaper back then, especially than they are now.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I don't see it as a priority in my trip to do like the actual sit down dining, because at the end of the day, it's just kind of like a glorified character meet and greet for half of the really expensive dining. Like Crystal Palace, it is just a breakfast buffet with Winnie the Pooh characters. I wouldn't do that personally, because I just, I'm here for the rides and for like food I can eat and enjoy. And I feel like going to some of those would be less, what's the word I'm looking for? Less productive for my like enjoyment of my day. But like I just said, the Beacon Barrel is open now, and I haven't been to the Beacon Barrel, and there are no reservations for parties over 2 for the entire week we're going. I already checked like 4 times already, but there are reservations for 1. that I could go do. So I could kick y'all out of the dust and go to Magic Kingdom. I could go Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom, and then Epcot. And if I'm doing that, I might as well just go to Hollywood Studios and do the 4-park challenge and be the first one in our family to do that.
So
Ooh.
I
Mhm.
think that that's a good point. Like, but I also, as a couple, we used to go do one signature and then one
Yeah.
quick service and then
Mhm.
just snack throughout the day. So like,
And I get that.
um,
Like, you guys want time to kind of sit down and enjoy your company instead of just
right,
rushing and running and
exactly.
getting sweaty.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think is a good strategy, especially when we were just a couple, is it was a little bit cheaper because we didn't have to buy like, okay, so for us as a couple, quick service is okay, but like I'm trying not to touch on Jesselyn's topic. Maybe Jesselyn should go first and then I
Okay.
will go because like I feel like I keep wanting to talk about what
Yeah,
to do with
you do.
kids. So yeah,
Yep.
just go ahead and go.
Well, I want to go back and say too, and this personalities go into this as well. So if I was on a solo trip, which I have been on a solo trip before, very briefly, but I was soloing some Disney Springs by myself for a little bit. I feel awkward being by myself in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna grab something and eat and walk. You know, does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna probably be less focused on a sit down restaurant. Even like a Pecos Bill, I probably wouldn't even do something like that just
Yeah.
because I don't want to be alone in that moment. Okay, so kids change up your food snack strategies in multiple ways. And as I'm going to say with every single one of my things, you have to know your kid. What we know about our kid is that she's a grazer. And so she snacks all day long. And when it comes down to sitting down and eating a big meal, she like 5 bites and then she's done. But then an hour
Mhm.
later, I want snacks, you know? So, um, we find that it is a waste of money for us to buy her a meal when we go places, unless we're having a sit down restaurant.
Mhm.
So your premium dining is what RJ is talking about there. So one of the things that we do that has been helpful for us is we go to Sam's Club before our trips. We go through it with her and we're like, okay, Bella, what kind of snacks would you like to have in the park? We get Smucker sandwiches. We get variety packs of chips. We get donuts for the morning or coffee cakes for the morning. That's our breakfast. While we're getting ready, we're eating. She's watching TV. You know, um, those are the kinds of things that we do. We pack a little lunchbox for her because you can bring food into the park. And so RJ and I might sit at a restaurant. And even though we ask her, we're not just like, you can't have this food, but mom and dad's going to eat this food. Like, we're not cruel.
Mhm.
You know, we ask her and she's always like, no, she'd rather eat what we've packed for her. So, you know, and that saves us too, because as we're around in the park and we just need a little bit of a snack, we just throw her up, you know, give her a bag of chips and she's good. Like
Yeah.
that's
And
what
since she's in
works
the
for
stroller,
us.
she doesn't have to stop and eat and stand and
Yes.
stuff. She can just sit in the stroller and eat it.
But one of the things that, because there's a bunch of us, one of our strategies that has worked really well for us is this mobile ordering, where we'll go into a place and we'll find a seat, because we have to think, even though we all three might not be eating the food,
Mhm.
we all three need to sit down, you know, and it gets crowded. So we'll find a place and then we mobile order and RJ goes and he gets the food. So that has helped us. If we do a dining restaurant, like a Be Our Guest or something, we're going to let her get her own plate. Sometimes we have found it beneficial to split meals, me and her. I don't get hungry in the park like I would if I was just sitting at home all day. So, I could do a kid's meal. Like, I feel confident, or I feel comfortable with eating that amount of food. But our thing is we bring our own snacks and she's eating snacks all day long. And that really kind of helps us in the long run financially too.
Well, and so that's kind of what I was trying not to touch on is like financially, yes, it's a little more expensive if you have a kid, especially like if your kid is a little bit older, like Noah's cousin, that's
Yeah.
going to be more
Mhm.
expensive.
Yeah.
Like in the 12, 13 range, it doesn't matter boy or girl, that's going to be more expensive
Right.
for you as a family. So you're not going to go touch on those table services, especially if you have 2 or 3 kids. You're not going to be going to Be Our Guest and spending $400 on it. You're going to be going to the quick service options that are a little bit more affordable. Or if you do it, it's going to be like 2 or 3 as opposed to like every single day. But I feel like when we were a couple, we would go hard on the rides a little bit more than what we even do now with Bella.
Yeah.
And so we had to slow down a little bit when it came to bringing in Bella, which with as a couple when we were doing it, we would need those sit down restaurants to kind of make us stop, if that makes sense, to just kind of like say, hey, we need to sit down, we haven't drank water in a while, things like that, where we needed to sit down as a couple and just eat. And it was a little bit cheaper being able to do that and just sit
Mhm.
down and eat really quickly, as opposed to if we were going with a kid, it would be a lot more different. It would be a lot different because it's more expensive, number one, for a table service restaurant. And then we would need that break to sit down. And sometimes we need that with the kid too. But like if you're getting into bigger families, it's going to be a lot
I
harder.
have noticed one thing that we have tended to do is, unless like this trip's going to be a little bit different for us, but it's because we're with a group of people and we enjoy doing it this way. But
Yeah.
in the summertime, we don't get a dine in now with Bella. We don't
Yeah.
Mhm.
hardly do that. But if we do, and we have, it's the ones that have characters inside of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes all the difference.
Mhm.
So Ohana, which we're going to do on this trip, or Cape May's breakfast, we've done with her. We've done a Via Napoli, but I mean, Via Napoli's not really that expensive when you compare all
Right.
the
Mhm.
other
No.
dine-ins. But if we have kids that we're taking to a dine-in, we are making sure a character is there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Or
that's
it's
the
a fun
thing.
experience like Woody's
Yeah.
Roundup or something like
Mhm.
that.
Or even be our guest. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's like stupid expensive now.
Yeah.
But like even something like that where it's not exactly just characters, it's just the whole experience of doing it is just fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk and combine the next two topics together. So let's talk
I don't
about
even know what the next two topics are.
strollers and transportation as a whole.
Strollers.
So like
Strollers.
Okay,
how
let me
strollers-
mention what I
Oh,
wanted to mention a while
uh-oh.
ago, if that works.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, with our hotel, we do think a lot about what transportation our hotel provides. So something
Yeah.
that we like to do with Bella is stay at a Caribbean beach or a Skyliner resort. That was one thing that was very nice with the
Mhm.
value resorts, is that you have the Skyliners right there. Because we don't have to fold up the stroller. When we literally just roll her right in, and roll her out. And a lot of times they don't put anybody else in there with you when you have a stroller like that.
Mhm.
So that is one thing when we're thinking about resorts. We do think about transportation that provides it. Everything has buses. Monorails are going to be the same way. You don't have to fold those up either. The buses you do have to fold up, which is why I get RJ's not a huge fan of them, because it's a hassle of folding up the stroller, getting it on and off the bus. But that plays in the transportation for us.
Well, and here's the thing, like you almost want to go either way before the fireworks start or way after the fireworks end if you're taking a
Yeah.
bus from Magic Kingdom. So like when you consider going as a family with the kid, it's going to be a little bit different than if you just go as a couple or by yourself. You could rush out the door and get on the bus or the monorail or the boat or whatever it is your transportation resort provides. The other thing you have to consider too, if you're flying and you're not staying on property, you don't get that transportation. So driving and having to think about a car seat and everything for some of these
Yeah.
younger kids, or even for some of the older kids, like trying to get a car that fits all your family, can be a
Yep.
challenge. As a couple, we even had times where we would take an Uber to get from because sometimes you can't take we had a reservation at a hotel. And so we would a dining reservation at a hotel. And so we would go to a park that didn't always have, or we would, I'm sorry, I'm
It was
mixing
from
this
our
up.
resorts. Yeah.
It was
would
from
be
a
like,
resort to to another resort where we
Yeah.
had a
Gotcha.
breakfast.
Yeah.
So like if we were staying at Beach Club and we had a breakfast reservation and we flew at
Mhm. Ohana or
Polynesian,
something. Yeah.
at the Polynesian for Ohana, we would take an Uber from one resort to the other. We can't do that as easily now because we have Bella with us, and you have to pay extra for a car seat or try and figure that all out as well.
And
And
as
so
a
that-
solo traveler, I've already been playing this 4-day challenge. I'm like 80% sure I might be doing it. I'm not sure. So what I can do as by myself, I can take a bus from the Polynesian to the Animal Kingdom, go from
Mhm.
Animal Kingdom back to the Polynesian, take the monorail to Magic Kingdom, okay? So Animal to Polynesian to Magic Kingdom. Take Magic Kingdom back to Hollywood Studios. Take the Skyliner from Hollywood Studios to Epcot. Meet you guys at Epcot, and then take the monorail back to the Poly.
And
Totally
all
would
of
work.
that sounds
Mhm.
like awesome. And we
Yeah.
used to do that even as a couple, where we used to bounce
we'd
around
hit
like
it hard
crazy.
like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so much harder when you have to consider a kid
Yeah,
and like
no, it
breaking
is.
down the stroller,
I can just step
getting
on
the
the bus.
kid
I don't have to do
on.
anything.
It would exhaust a kid.
Mhm,
Like
yeah, getting in and out.
But there
all the time.
is it sounds like we're downing the stroller a little bit. RJ and I are dreading the day we don't have a stroller anymore.
Yeah, it's so
it's
easy to
true.
pack stuff into. I
It
remember putting
is.
my sweatshirts and t-shirts I'd buy down at Disney. I would just stuff them in your stroller.
Well,
Well, I know
let's-
they were traveling back home with you, so might as well just get it started early.
That's the thing too. Like we tend to pack more backpacks because we can.
Mhm.
Because we can just throw it on the stroller whenever we go ride a ride real quick. And so like, Jesselyn and I used to take one backpack as a couple, and we used to stuff all of our stuff into the one backpack, and now we can't do that anymore.
We all have a
because
backpack.
and we all have a backpack. Well, Bella doesn't, but we do. And we have two backpacks that we can throw into a stroller real quick while we go on the rides. And then, I mean, look, Disney is not perfect. There have been thefts at Disney, so keep that in mind and
Yeah.
don't say,
I-
"Well, you told me to,
personally,
and my backpack
yeah.
got stolen." But
Personally, what I do
Well-
is I bring my backpack on the ride, and then I put
Yeah, I
my
do
feet
too.
through the armholes on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
floor, so it can't go anywhere.
RJ
Yeah, I agree.
will leave his bag because he doesn't really have valuables in it. I have valuables in my bag. So I take my bag with me
AKA
on the rides.
snacks.
yeah, if they want to steal my backpack full of snacks
And shoes.
my Crocs and an extra pair of socks and a few bags of chips, like that's what's in my backpack. Maybe a Sharpie for Bella's autograph book if I'm taking her around, but there's really not anything of value in mine. Whereas Jesselyn has like Bella's autograph book, and
Mhm.
like we might take a battery bank and put it in hers, and so that sort of thing is a little different because we've got different things in our bag. For me, like I carry my wallet on me, I don't throw it in my backpack, so it's just in my pocket, so that doesn't really matter as much. So yeah, and then picking transportation for the hotels versus the Uber versus the bus getting from the airport to and from, that plays a big part in it, whether or not you're solo as a couple or with kids, because like Noah said, all that transportation that he could do to do all
Mhm.
four of the parks would be next to impossible with kids,
Mhm.
possible as a couple.
Yeah.
And so you just have to keep that in mind, and that the strollers are hugely beneficial. We're gonna miss it, obviously, because number
They're a
one,
big pro
the
and a
kid,
big con.
the kid
know.
complains when you start telling them, "Hey,
Yeah.
you have to walk 22,000 steps," today
Yeah.
when we're going to Epcot. And so having that is going to be a lot different when we have to eventually eliminate it. But right now, it's super helpful. All right, let's talk a little bit about pacing and park flow. So Noah, you're talking about doing 4 parks. Would you do that
Yeah.
with the whole family?
No.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do with a big group of people because it takes longer to get on around. Like for the four park 1-day challenge, you have to get on a ride and off a ride and then to the next park. That's like impossible to do with 6 people because you
Yeah.
all have to get on the ride and you all have to get off. When you're a single rider, like RJ said earlier, you can just hop on in the single rider line or a single rider queue and just get on, get off, and then you're ready to go again. And even with all the transportation I was talking about, getting on and off and just stepping on all those different modes of transportation, that's a lot of people to get okay guys, corral together. I
Yeah.
remember we went with a big family one time and it was like herding cats everywhere. It was so awful. And I was just like, oh, this is just not good. And you couldn't
Well,
do
and-
something like that with more people.
Even like getting dining reservations, even some
Mhm.
restaurants, Disney won't let you book above an 8-person
Yeah.
reservation. So
Mhm.
you have to split your groups into 2 different groups to get
Yep.
dining reservations.
Mhm.
And so flow of the parks, flow of eating, flow of everything changes versus like you were saying earlier, one person could get into just about anything and it's
Yeah.
fine. You could even do walk-up reservations and do that. And
I go
that's the
beef
other
and
thing.
barrel.
Right. You can't do that as a family, but with kids, um, as a couple, we could sometimes do a walk-up reservation too,
Mhm.
and they would be able to seat 2 a lot easier, without a dining reservation. But the more you get, like when we get into the 10 to 13 range, it's just not going to be possible.
Yeah.
But pacing at the parks, like Jesselyn and I joke one time we rope dropped Gaston's Tavern.
We did
Because
that when we were a couple.
yeah, no, that's what I mean. But without a kid, we did that as a couple. Number one, because we knew we would get on every ride that we wanted to get on, because we weren't worried about timing and spacing and pacing of the parks to make sure that our kid was okay, because it was just us two. So we could go jokingly rope drop Gaston's Tavern and then go get on Little Mermaid, and which is exactly what we did.
It's pretty
one
much
day.
what we do a lot for Magic Kingdom.
and so it's funny because we did that as a couple, but then like when you're talking your kid, you almost want to rope drop so you can get them while they're high energy in the morning, and you want to get as much as possible. So Jesselyn, why don't you talk about that before I take over your topic?
I saw this reel the other day, and I think, Noah, you liked it. It came up on my Instagram. It showed when people, first-time Disney goers, are like, what time should I wake up for the park tomorrow? 10 a.m.? And it's like this guy laughing or whatever, because you're in the parks pretty early. Like, you get like 4 hours of sleep, and then you're back at it, you know? I am... I am pro getting there as soon as you can, because Bella has all the energy first thing in the morning. And one thing that I know, I think Carissa, when she was on the podcast, she talked about this, and I think it's really important for someone like me, like a mom's going to think about this. Dads might not. But your pictures, you want to get a picture in front of the castle, you need to do it first thing that morning before you get on any ride, because that's the best. Your kid's freshly put together. They're in a good mood.
Their face will slowly frown the later you do it in the day.
And hair goes all crazy, and they're going to smile. They're excited. So we are rope drop people. Because there are things like, I have to have the pictures. I want all the pictures. So we get the pictures done. We are excited. We talk up these things. She's up before I'm the last person in our home that's awake. So they're up, they're ready to go. So we just hit the road. We don't find the need to have an afternoon hotel break for us. It's there if we need it. We're not opposed to it. But that is one thing that is nice with kids is hit it hard in the morning. And a lot of people do this. You can see a trend in the crowds at the park. They're really busy in the morning, and then around 2:00, it's feeling a little empty because everybody went back to the hotel for a nap. And then they'll come back. So one thing that we tend to do with Bella is we'll rope drop a park, and then our rest will be a transportation from one park to another park. A lot of times we like to do Epcot in the evenings. And so we're resting on our way to another park, and then we're just slowly or doing shows or something,
or meals. Yeah,
you know, and that's one thing that's really nice about doing a sit down meal too, is you're resting for a little bit, for a couple hours, and then I think it's. I know it's not feasible for everyone, but if you can, and you can plan like Magic Kingdom being a 2-day park, you should. That way you don't feel all this pressure of, I've wasted my money because I didn't get everything I needed to get in. You can spread it out. You can take your time. You can pace yourself. And you know your kids' breaking points, and you need to work with them, and you don't need to push them. Work with them, because your trip's going to be miserable. Their trip's going to be miserable.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, let's talk preparation time. As far as like lightning lanes, or like, are you just not doing lightning lane? So like, Noah, in your case of doing that, are you going to do lightning lanes all day so you can get more in the parks? Or are you like, hey, there's enough single riders and I'm just doing it by myself so I can get on a lot faster, so I'm not even going to think about that?
Honestly, I probably won't even think about it, because since there's so many, like half of our people that are listening have been to Disney World, and they know how many times you're in the queue and you'll hear a cast member go, any single riders or any party of two to the front of the line, you can just walk right up past 20 minutes worth of wait time and you're all set. So I don't think I'm really going to worry about Lightning Lane on that day. I mean, the only one I would be like Flight of Passage, but
Well,
like
I think that you can, I mean, it might not shorten wait times, but there is a portion where at the end, as you're getting closer to the ride numbers are uneven in the little cart. Okay, I don't know what the best word to use here is. And so they'll come up and they'll be like, all right, do I have any parties of one? And you get to skip like 10 people. So
Yeah.
like there are those that benefit to
Mhm.
go along with it.
Yeah, it's really nice
Okay.
being all
Um,
by yourself.
I will say that like as I would do more of the individual lightning lanes, less of the
Yeah.
multi-pass. So like if I were going as a solo person, I would probably do like if I were going to Magic Kingdom, I would do more of the
Yeah, Magic Kingdom would
prawns.
be a different story because
Yeah,
there's just so many things, and people always go to Magic Kingdom. Like it's
yeah,
like the residents go to Epcot and Magic Kingdom. They don't really
yeah,
go to the other two that often. So Magic Kingdom's always the busiest park, no matter
right.
what day, what time. It's always going to be busier. So getting the pass would be helpful for that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. And it's
Well,
also when you're going solo, you don't have to plan like that, like as intensely as you would when we're all going together.
and as a couple, we used to do it, the lightning lanes, but this was okay. When we used to go as a couple, it was before you had to pay.
Yeah.
And so that would probably look a little different, but it would be based on the type of park we were going to
Mm-hmm.
and the crowd levels of that during that time. So
Yeah.
like if we were gonna go by ourselves or like as a couple, we were gonna plan to um do it and like okay, I'm sorry, I got so distracted. We were basically gonna plan to do a lightning lane, but it was gonna be different because it was gonna be less focused on like the kiddie rides, which is what most of the lightning lane options are. So when you consider like a Magic Kingdom, what are most of your lightning lane options gonna be? They're gonna be more
Mm-hmm.
kiddish rides like
Mm-hmm.
Dumbo and Aladdin and things like that. Versus when we do our lightning lanes with Bella, we're gonna have those, but when we're doing them as a couple, we just didn't like we would do all the big ticket rides, but you can
Mm-hmm.
only pick one of those rides. So is it worth it? I don't know. And that's
Yeah.
gonna depend on which park you're going to, and
And
it's
how
also
busy it
gonna
is that
depend on
day.
how busy it is that time.
Mm-hmm.
But as a family, it's a little different when you're planning
Mm-hmm.
lightning lanes. Why is it different, Jessalyn?
Well, number
That was
one,
smooth. That was smooth.
sometimes your lines, okay, we're going in January. We're going to guess what the parks are going to be like based on what we've done in previous years, but Disney can be very unpredictable. So, our first Magic Kingdom day is a Sunday. We know that locals can go on a Sunday. So the likelihood is going to be very busy, which means your lines are going to be really long. And we have a kid and Ethan is going along with them. Neither one of them do really well waiting for a long period
Not
of
really.
time. So, and like once again, you're looking for ways to eliminate stress on your trip. So one thing that we can do to eliminate the stress and we can eliminate meltdowns is we're going to get lightning lanes for that Magic Kingdom day because we know the crowds are probably going to be a little bit higher, and we're going to go ahead and get in what we can. What we miss, we'll grab on another Magic Kingdom day during
Mm-hmm.
the week, right?
Right.
We do the same method with our Hollywood Studios days. We go ahead and get lightning lanes for our first Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studio day. That way we can get what we want. And then the rest of the time we're there, we can slowly pace it out. And she might say, oh, we didn't get to ride Slinky Dog today. Yeah, but remember we got to ride it the other day. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just going to ride something else, So
Yeah.
we tried to definitely think about what she can handle and what she can't. I still would recommend, if you're going in the summertime, I would recommend, there's very much a love-hate relationship with these lightning lane stuff, right? Like I hate
Mm-hmm.
that you're having to spend money for it. But I would recommend if you're going in the summertime that you do buy it for, at least your Magic Kingdom Hollywood Studios days.
Yeah.
And you need to buy it ahead of time instead of waiting for day
Mm-hmm.
of, because then it becomes a waste of money because most of the rides have been taken up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so RJ and I have a little bit more experience with Lightning Lane when it comes with that. We try to make it, we know we want it for Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, and we typically buy one for Guardians as well because Bella loves Guardians just as much as we do, and we can just like get on there really quickly without waiting in that hour-long line. And so, but we try to buy it ahead of time so we can get our rides in the morning and just keep booking them all
Well,
day
and
long.
coordinating as a group is difficult too. And so that's what we're doing this time. We're coordinating as a whole group trying to get all of our lightning lanes and make sure that we all get the same times, but I'm not expecting one person to pay for everybody.
Yeah.
That would be
Right.
too much
Yeah.
on any one person to pay for the 10 of us to go.
Exactly.
Just as an example, the 3 of us going for one day on a Sunday to do Magic Kingdom is $105 for the 3 of us as a
Mhm.
family. And for Hollywood Studios, it's $87. So you're looking at a lot of money. For us, it's a family of 3 and we think it's worth it. But for somebody who has a family of 5, 6,
Right.
and
I
they're
was-
having to pay for it, it's just not going to be possible.
And I get it.
Instead, plan another day as
Yeah.
opposed
Right.
to paying
Right.
for lightning lanes because it might
Absolutely.
be cheaper.
Mhm.
I was talking with somebody at church last week, and they were telling me, they're like, I love Disney, but I just don't know how we can do it with, 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I get it. I love
Yeah.
Disney, and some things can be a little bit more doable with us because we have Bella.
Mm.
But just the one kid that we're thinking about. But if I had a family of four kids, I would not be giving the same advice I'm giving right now. I
Right.
would
Yeah.
probably not buy Lightning Lane. I would do what RJ did and said, and do a couple days in the park and just split up my rides.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. And then as a solo trip, you could go on everything and you could get everything you wanted
Exactly.
to because
I'm gonna
you
do
know,
everything I want.
You could do
Yeah.
Disney easily in 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how you go to Disney is going to really determine how you do Disney. A lot of what we talk about is talking about trips where you're going as a group or going with a family or going, and so we wanted to bring this as a different type of explanation of you do Disney differently depending on who you're going with. A
Mhm.
family of 10 that we're going with this time. I think it's 10 of us going, or is it more?
There's
1, 2, 3,
8
4,
up till
5, 6,
Wednesday.
7, 8,
11 when
9,
everyone else
Yeah.
joins.
10.
It's
Yeah.
8, 11. 8. So we have 8 for the first half of our trip.
Yep.
And then on Thursday,
11 for
3
the
more
second
people
half.
are joining us. So it's
And we've done
11.
that where we've gone as a family of 13 before with Jesselyn's whole family. And so how you go and who you go with determines how you are going to approach the parks. And if you don't know, that's where a travel agent can really be vital in helping you to plan out those parks and to do it and to plan out how everything is going to work and how you're going to structure it and how you're going to book your reservations and all of that. And it's a full-time science. Disney is not just a fly by the seat of your pants.
No.
I went 5 years ago and this is how I did it because it's
Right.
changed.
Right.
And lightning lanes have changed from where they were free fast passes and then they were Genie Plus and now they're lightning lanes. So all of that has changed. We can't determine how our park experience is going to be based on what we used to do. And then it's the same with how you're doing shows. There are new shows, there are new experiences, there are new hotels, there are remodels of hotels. So I wouldn't have recommended French Quarter to a couple before, but now with the refurbishment, it's like one of the best hotels out there. So
It's always been the best hotel out there. You just didn't recognize it.
Well, no, but it needed the refurbishment. It was
Yeah.
getting a little bit old. You know what really needs a refurbishment? The mildew smell at Contemporary. Anyway, that's a different story.
I don't think they can ever fix that. I think the 50-year-old
Oh, my
little
word,
boxes they shoved into the Contemporary.
That is
I
the
don't think
worst. Anybody who loves staying at the Contemporary and they tell you, hey, when you go to Disney, stay at the Contemporary, just stop listening to them.
don't listen to it's a cool resort because of the monorail.
Yeah.
But it's
They're
so
much
oddly
better
laid
monorail
out.
resorts, so.
Yeah, it's
And
like
so-
there's no good quick service at the Contemporary.
Yeah.
It's so awkwardly laid out.
Yes.
It's just like
And small. It
It's
for
very
being
small.
a deluxe resort, it feels very small.
I'd rather go to Bay
compared to
Lake
some of the
Tower
other-
and then just walk over to the
Yeah.
Contemporary.
But anyway, I just wanted to bring this up and talk about how you can do Disney differently, depending on the group that you go with and what you're doing and the
Or the
family
you
or
that you go with.
dynamic or just going by yourself. It all makes a huge
me.
difference on how you approach Disney for sure. I appreciate you two coming along. Any
It's
final
been
thoughts?
my pleasure.
This is totally not about anything that we talked about today, but I pinky promised, guys, I pinky promised Bella that I would show the podcast her Daisy Duck.
Aww.
This is Bella's Daisy Duck.
Wonderful. Why does it have an arm? I have an arm bracelet.
It's her bracelet.
Oh, it's her. It's just so
Because
far.
Daisy
up, I
Duck
thought.
loves jewelry.
Yeah, I
love
thought it was like a
Daisy.
bracelet, not like.
And don't forget to comment and talk about your
Comment.
strategies.
Your favorite bird, remember. I
your
need to
Mine's
know.
Daisy
strategies
Duck.
on solo and
It's the only one that can
couple
fly
trips
and
and
attack you.
family trips and big group trips and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely make sure you comment.
Are you scared
Anyway,
of
that's
Kevin,
gonna-
Justin? Are you scared of Kevin?
He's
You are?
big.
He is
He is big.
huge.
He's
He's
huge.
big.
It's,
And
it's
he
a
could
she.
just
Sorry,
easily, like,
I'm so
lean
sorry.
over and, like,
She's
Yeah.
huge.
Heck.
Okay, that
That's what
doesn't
I'm
sound
scared
right.
of.
Let's go. Let's just get on with this.
Well, now we're not gonna switch to the same pre-recorded message we played last week.
We should pre-record a new episode, so one time it'll finally be true when you say that.
Maybe we'll pre-record a new ending at Disney
We
World.
should.
Are you
Oh, I remember. I
volunteering?
had an idea for that. It was very
Okay.
funny. Bye.
Goodbye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our show. Before you go, please don't forget to gather your belongings and head over to our email at carouselpod@gmail.com to ask us your questions. Oh, and wouldn't you believe it? You can now bring the magical sense of vacation right into your home. Check out the Magic Candle Company and use our exclusive link with the code CarouselPod at checkout to get 15% off your order. And don't forget, we're here to help you plan your future Disney trips. Just send us a message at rj@famvia.com. Until next time, we'll see you in a great, big, beautiful week.